I hope that everyone has been doing just fine, especially given the date of this video. I previously talked about embracing the dark side as a nice guy, and that was just pertaining to the folklore of Luke Skywalker, learning more about the dark side, but not fully succumbing to it like his father Anakin did. And that video will be in the comment section below. Check it out. Either after you watch this video or before you watch the rest of this video. But not to be contradictory, why am I talking about avoiding the dark side upon already talking about embracing the dark side? Because it actually doesn't mean the same thing, if you will. So you'll see that I'm actually not speaking in a contradicting way. In this case, what I mean by avoiding the dark side, this is kind of what I believe is the mistake especially a lot of young guys make, but even some older guys too. Because there's this added notion about knowledge being power. Knowledge is power. And so if you look amongst the folklore of Star Wars, amongst the Sith, it was always this idea that they wanted to know more knowledge or acquire more knowledge, because since knowledge is power, is obviously this idea that more knowledge means more power. So in essence, this is what I mean by avoiding the dark side, because people will want to know more things, even the unknown things, even the forbidden things. Yes, even the forbidden things. People will want to know these things. Kind of like the tree of knowledge, eating the apple, knowing about good and evil. Some people can go back to that, if you will, if you want to relate it to biblical ideas. But this also works in life too, and of course, in the midst of Star Wars folklore, this works great. And how I'm correlating this with nice guy is, simply put, you'll have some guys that just feel that just having a sense of morality, learning about things, being one's apprentice, becoming wise by being around people that are wiser, becoming successful by being around people that are more successful. Some guys will feel that's mundane. Some guys will feel like they have mastered things. They will feel like they've acquired enough knowledge. So they start to get blurred in their judgment of things. They start to feel like they have outgrown the people that they were learning from, even though you were supposed to be this good guy. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, was this person really good, or were they like low-key kind of mischievous this whole time? Because what brings out the nature in a person to want to all of a sudden look at a certain way of being that's now boring, that you just want more, that it was not enough, or you felt like the person you were learning from wasn't teaching you enough. So you'll find some guys that just get very impatient, and then they will want to basically go on this nefarious path of just learning about things, knowing about things, and this idea that you got to step on others to get to the top. You see a lot of that take place. You find out that some of the most maniacal people actually had humble beginnings. You were like, how? I thought, like, how does this go together? You didn't seem like the type of person that would end up this way, that would end up this dark. Now, to actually not necessarily play devil's advocate, but to understand their plight? What if they had a very sheltered childhood? And I'm talking about guys. I know there's a lot of gals that have similar stories, but in the case of guys, they may have, I guess you can say they've had a sheltered childhood. With boys, it's a little different. You want boys to be adventurous. You want boys to learn about a lot of their environment even more than a girl. But there could be times that you want maybe the boy to be in such a morally upright way. Maybe there are things that you want him to kind of shy away from. But that doesn't stop another type of guy from getting his hands a little bit too much into cookie jars, right? He starts to just get very sneaky. You know, you can tell when he's a boy and he's quiet. Oftentimes, especially with little boys, when they're quiet, that means they're up to something in the house, and you have to check on him to see what he's doing. Then you see his whole face covered in flour, powder, whatever, because he got in something. You're like, what? You know, he got in a peanut butter jar in the fridge, and he tore up the whole fridge, right? So little things like that. So in essence, that kind of behavior doesn't change when a guy gets older, if depending on the way he comes up as an adult, right? So he starts to get more into the dark arts of things when he feels like he's outgrown an environment. But mind you, goes back to this idea that I thought you weren't going to be that type of person. Well, you never know who people are until you see who they really are as time goes on. So as time goes on, you'll start to see who people really are, who stood their character, who stood in their character, if you will, who remained true to character, right? Who didn't change up, who didn't switch up. You start to see who really wants to hold on with their loyalty and things like that, right? So you see a lot of that going on. So I say this especially to a lot of young guys. If you want to be under some type of true stewardship, if you will, learning, being an apprentice, never feel like you've outgrown an environment, because it'll just only lead you to a certain dark path that you didn't realize you were on. And maybe you did realize, maybe you wanted to be amongst Palpatine, if you will, right? Until you realized that the dark side wasn't all cracked up to be that you thought it were, and that you were really just fighting your own demons. Because that's basically what took place with Anakin Skywalker. He realized, look, this dark side ain't what I thought it was. I'm really the dark side. Like, I'm the one that's dark. It's not about obtaining this idea of the dark side. I'm the one that's dark. I have to deal with my own personal issues here. Like, me getting dark is not helping me get stronger. It's making me still even weaker. I'm just getting stronger about how to deal with this darkness. But that doesn't mean I'm dealing with my darkness, the darkness I have on me and within me. So, hey, Unique, I see you in the building. Good to see you once again. Oh, sorry about that. It's good to see you up in the spaceship. And yes, good evening and good night to you as well. Yeah, I hope this video makes sense to some, though, because this is sort of a fork in the road for a lot of people, that a lot of guys per se, but some gals too. Sometimes you question your morale and you think you've outgrown things, but the problem is a lot of people, they don't want to accept fundamentals, especially as they want to grow stronger in a certain field. Even in a relationship, people want to forego the fundamentals because they want to think they can skim through things in life, whether it's love, whether it's a career, things like that. People just think, oh, I can skim through this, but no, you still have to understand the fundamentals. Let people see that you're good at the fundamentals before you can move further along. But you have some people that feel like, well, I've already arrived. And so I think, if nothing else, to summarize, and I guess the moral of the story is, as a guy that's truly a nice guy, you stay within your structure. right? You stay within uh, who you are. You respect elders. That's one thing about me. I've always respected elders, even guys that didn't see themselves as elders. They were more so olders. Um, you will see a lot of that going on. And you basically can just see that a lot of these guys that are older, they just don't want to be bothered. They don't want to be respected. They don't even want to be um, looked at a certain way. So I feel that's unfortunate because there's just a lot of times where that's another way a nice guy can get caught up into the dark side because he actually wants to learn from somebody. He actually wants inspiration. He actually is trying to do things the right way regarding respecting his elders. But a lot of times, with the way we are living in this society right now, there's just not enough amount of really valuable people to learn from. You have to deal with the fact that even the people you learn from have some wickedness about them too. So even the guy that I would say feels like he's outgrown people and he wants to be around more darker forces to learn of things, well, who you think you're learning from is actually using you too. And he's only going to make you that much darker, like what Palpatine tried to do with Anakin after Anakin left the Jedi, right? So to me, I think that you just have to really stay in your lane and embrace and enjoy the environment. I think in essence, the only way you leave an environment where you feel like you're not getting enough information from, connection and interaction from, is when you see that person you was getting these quote things from has become dark themselves. So Unique said, so basically just forever be a student in life and also in love, because only a fool thinks they know everything but know nothing at all. That's facts. And that's how you avoid the dark side, by not thinking you know everything or you strive to know everything. Always feel like you don't know enough. That's how you be a student in life. You always just wanting to learn things. You don't feel like you want to learn more. See, a lot of people don't catch that. A lot of people don't catch that. Always feel like you want to learn things, not that you strive to learn more. When you add that word more in there, that means that what you feel like you have now as far as knowledge and things, it's never enough. So you start to fall out of this idea of appreciating things. And I think that especially regarding a nice guy, I think that he's a victim of his own environment, if you will. That it's to him, he could be around someone that's just not trying to teach him. That's one thing, right? But he can also be around people that are just wicked teachers. So then he gets tossed to and fro. You got guys that go through this in churches. A lot of young pastors go through this. A lot of young guys, literally, just not even pastors, just young choir boys, young guys that are like ushers, just guys in church, period. They go through this. They didn't realize how wicked their pastor was, right? You got boys in the home that didn't realize how wicked his father was. You have that. You have some daughters that have to encounter that too, especially if that father touches her. Now, she ends up going over to the dark side because she just never had a decent father to learn from. So she starts to take on this idea of not being a Darth Vader. Yeah, she doesn't become Darth Vader, she becomes Darth Vixen. Ooh, I just gave a name for a gal. If you try to name your channel that, or you giving yourself that nickname, Remember where you got that name from. If you call yourself Darth Vixen, okay? But a lot of gals end up like that, and that's unfortunate. So I'm just trying to basically say, yeah, when you're a student of life, you'll make sure you have good teachers. You'll make sure you are appreciating good teaching. Yes, you're welcome, Unique. I see your comment. You welcome. And so, with that said, I think I'll wrap it up here. And yes, just don't feel like you know enough or somebody's not teaching you enough. If you're really about someone that has a good heart, because a lot of times, in that sense, one could still be quick to try to see grass greener on the other side, not realizing all along you're just being fed more wicked doctrines. And yet the person that you left was probably trying to share with you some important fundamentals. It's not that they didn't think you knew or that you didn't learn something. Maybe they just wanted to see how much you know so they can show you even more. Like even amongst a lot of skill sets I have in life, I make sure that people can see what I already know first versus what they want to show me, because they can probably be like, oh wow, you're great. And I am teachable. I'm always trying to learn up something, right? So I let them see all of my experience, what it has all amassed to, so they can be like, yo, you really are good with those lightsabers, aren't you? Right? Wow. How about this trick? Let me show you this. Add this to your arsenal, right? And boom, then that just makes me even more of a Jedi master with it, right? You said unique. So does that mean that a nice guy should expect the best and prepare for the worst, then so he maintains the balance and not go to the dark side in regards to life and love? Yes. Because expecting the best per se is just, you want to learn from the best. Yes, you ideally want to learn from the best. To the best of your ability, learn these things, and that you're being taught by someone teaching you to the best of their ability. But yes, prepare for the worst in the sense that you don't know where you're getting this knowledge from. A lot of times they say, just enjoy the message regardless of the messenger. And I say that in the sense of, because sometimes, yeah, you might learn some good things, but a lot of times the person you're learning it from ended up being a wicked person. So at that point, yeah, I guess you can say, as far as chewing up the meat, spitting out the bones per se, do it in that sense, but also read between the lines. I've known a lot of pastors back in my day coming up that, yes, I can look at them now and not to judge, but I can say that their actions are contrary to where I sit at with things in my life and in my heart, but the message meant a lot to me at that time, and I took heed of that, right? And it has made a difference in my life. So a lot of times it is definitely about the message being brought to you at what Unique just hashtagged, the best of your ability, or in this case, the best of durability. And I just didn't realize something there. The best of their ability, the best of durability. Get it? So that's another hashtag, almost double entendre. The best of their ability, the best of durability. So there needs to be durability in the best things. In the best, oh God, that's another double entendre. In the best things that you do and the best things that you do, right? But you just do these things and endure, right? Because the one that just ends up going over to the dark side, they couldn't endure, even just trying to take on a lot of the fundamentals, right? Yep, and I see Unique just hashtag the best of durability too. Like, see, that's what this is all about, y'all. And you checking out someone right now, listening to me, if you will, that always trying to stick with these fundamentals. That's actually what made Anakin Skywalker so great. He just tried to outdo himself, and I think that was his problem. He became the best Jedi because he understood the fundamentals of what a Jedi is all about. But his power level was so great regarding his fundamentals that he just kept trying to leapfrog a lot of his capabilities. And Obi-Wan Kenobi warned him of that. But see, this thirst, this drive, his emotions got to him. He just this thirst. There's a sense of being hungry, and then thirst, that's different. Thirst is actually more of a emotional and psychological energy upon you than being hungry. You can get by with being hungry, right? You might be a little angry. Okay, you're mad because you didn't eat. But being thirsty, that's different. That hits different. That will drive you insane if you start to be thirst deprived. So even when it comes to power and knowledge, you actually don't have a hunger of knowledge that can have you go wrong. It's the thirst of knowledge that can have you go wrong. The hunger of knowledge, that's a positive thing. That makes you're just more eager to learn something, right? But the thirst of knowledge is a little different. You know what I'm saying? Because it also represents that the hunger of knowledge was nothing. Like you being eager to learn things, that's not enough. And sometimes this has to also be taught to young guys that, you think they're very nice young men, right? But you have to know the difference between his hunger for knowledge versus his thirst for knowledge. Yes. And you said unique, is endurability included in that too? I would say yes. Based on what I just discussed, I would say that too. Yeah. Because actually, if you think about it, and I'll end it with this, the hunger of knowledge represents the endurance, right? But the thirst of knowledge represents the sprint. You want it quick. You want it now. You want it quick. When true knowledge takes time. But you have to always be hungry for it. You have to have a palate for it. It's not about how much you can take on, it's are you willing to take it on. Whereas when you're thirsty, it's just never enough. Regardless of what a person gives you, you're never satisfied. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Thanks a million for stopping by.